Alright, so I came up with this pizza recipe a few years ago, and it's now easily my favorite pizza. We're gonna start off with the pork belly. Coincidentally, this is also my favorite way to do pork belly, so it's a good all-around pork belly recipe. Using a sharp knife, make shallow cuts on a diagonal through the fat. This is referred to as scoring. It'll help to render the fat and make it crispy. Generously season with kosher salt and freshly cracked black pepper. Place a heavy bottom pot over medium-high heat and add a few drizzles of canola oil. The pork will shrink up, so don't stress out if it doesn't quite fit. Season the underside with more kosher salt and freshly cracked black pepper. While that's crisping, chop a few green onions into rough pieces, along with an onion and a thumb-sized piece of ginger. Once you've got a nice crust going, flip the belly and crisp the remaining 3 sides. Then toss in the chopped veg along with some garlic. I'm also going to be adding some hoisin sauce, which is a thick savory condiment used in Cantonese cuisine, similar to a barbecue sauce. Add enough water to almost cover the pork belly, then cover with a lid and place in a preheated oven at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for 1.5 to 3 hours, depending on the size. You'll know it's done when you can pierce it like it's made entirely of butter. Remove from the liquid and allow it to completely cool in the fridge before attempting to slice. As it's so tender at this point, it's just gonna fall apart if... What did I literally just say? For the pizza dough, you'll need bread flour. All-purpose works fine if you can't get any. Water, roughly the temperature of bath water, kosher salt, and active dry yeast. Add the yeast to the water and give it a gentle stir, then allow it to sit for a good 5 minutes. You can do this without a stand mixer, but they will save you a sore arm and shoulder later. Attach a dough hook to the mixer, then add the bread flour and salt. Mix on low for about 30 seconds. This is a sourdough starter. It's totally optional, but will make the dough that much better. With the mixer on a low setting, add the water a little bit at a time. Once the shaggy dough comes together and forms a nice smooth ball, remove it from the bowl and add a little bit of olive oil to prevent it from sticking while it proofs. Then cover with plastic wrap and allow it to proof until it's doubled in size, at least an hour. I was working the pizza station in a restaurant one time when a 12-year-old girl asked if she could have corn on her pizza. Never having had it before, my reaction was, but after I tried it. Roast the corn in its husk at 375 degrees Fahrenheit until the outer parts start to brown and become crisp. After the dough's risen, it's time for my favorite part. Punch the dough down, then re-wrap in plastic wrap and allow it to proof for a second time. We're also going to make a hot sauce for on top, so in a small bowl combine gochujang, fermented hot pepper paste, rice vinegar, and some lime soda. Stir to combine and set aside. You're going to need a pizza stone. They're easy to come by and are usually under $20. Plus, they make killer bread and nachos. If you can't get one, you can use a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. You won't get the exact same results, but it'll work. Place the stone in an oven set to broil for 1 hour before making the pizza. It needs to be incredibly hot. For the cheese, I'm just using plain old mozzarella, but fresh mozza and bocconcini will give it a really gooey texture. To finish the toppings, thinly slice a few green onions, remove the corn from its husk and slice the bottom flat to make it easier to cut the kernels off the cob. Then thinly slice the chilled pork belly. For the base, I like to use oil from Chili Crunch. You can check out the link to make your own. And of course, some kimchi. This next step is important, so don't skip it. You want to squeeze out as much of the excess kimchi juice as possible, so the pizza doesn't end up soggy. Lastly, you'll want to use a pizza paddle, either metal or wood. If you can't get one, you can use a baking sheet to build the pizza on and transfer it to the stone. Dust a work surface with flour and form the dough into a rough ball shape. The dough recipe will make 2 medium thin crust or 1 large thick crust, but for the thick crust I generally only use 2/3 of the dough. After using your hands to flatten the ball out, dust a rolling pin with flour and begin to roll out the dough. 2 things to keep in mind when rolling out pizza dough. 1. Never go over the edge with the rolling pin to ensure an even dough. And 2. To make a circle, roll the dough back and forth, turn 90 degrees, then repeat. I normally go for a thin crust, but since this pizza is a bit of a chonker, I go thick. Once you've got the shape you want, remove any excess flour from the work surface as well as the dough. Prep the pizza paddle with some cornmeal to prevent it from sticking and to more easily allow it to slide off. Using a spoon or pastry brush, add a thin layer of chili oil, then cover with cheese and the remaining toppings. Give the paddle a few shakes until the pizza starts to slide, then quickly pull it away. Then just cook until your desired doneness. I like my pizzas to have a bit more char, but you do you. Top with the gochujang hot sauce and sliced green onions. And that's it. Kimchi, pork belly, and sweet corn pizza. Even though by the time I finally got to eat some after taking a bunch of pictures, it was cold and the cheese was no longer melty, but it was still absolutely delicious. If you like my channel and are interested in supporting it, you can check out my Ko-fi page. I'll leave a link in the description, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe. It really helps out. Thanks for watching, and stay awesome.